mute yourself. You know, I don't think anyone has talked with Teddy, at least in this capacity, since his you know, his virtual press conference during free agency. So it'd be great if you guys could, when asking a question, identify yourself to help him out as well, as we kind of get to everybody gets to know each other again. With that, we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll turn it over to Teddy to open up. So Teddy, feel free.
Hey, it's an exciting time right now to get things rolling. It's great to see that you know, the guys have arrived and shown up in good spirits during this tough time. Praying that everyone's family is doing safe and doing well and staying safe during this time. Excited to get back to work. Excited for what's in store for us, and we look forward to just continue to lay a foundation brick by brick and get this thing rolling.
Hey Teddy, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. Does this? I mean, obviously you're going to be the starting quarterback. Does this feel like your team yet, or maybe not yet because you haven't gotten on the field? Or I mean, does it feel like your team yet?
Yeah, it definitely does, and I credit that to Mr. Tepper, Marty, Coach Rule, and the coaching staff here. They've made this transition a smooth one, and they told me from the jump that, hey, this is your team, and the guys will go as I go. And, just being around the guys a couple of days already, you see them feeding off my energy, and I'm feeding off their energy. So it definitely feels like my team.
Hey, Teddy, Skylar Cowan here with Sports Illustrated. NFC South is going to be an offensive explosion this year. Everyone's got the weapons, and now the Panthers have really got a lot of pieces as well. Where do you think your guys' offense kind of ranks with some of the other teams in the division?
I mean, on pen and paper, it's easy to say, hey, we have this guy, that guy, and Atlanta has their weapons, New Orleans has their weapons, and Tampa has what they have. But at the end of the day, you have to prove it on the field. So on pen and paper, everyone's crowning themselves as some of the most talented teams in the league and future playoff teams. But it starts, with the work that we put in right now, and we can't look too far ahead. We just have to approach it one day at a time. And of course, we have guys on this roster who have done some great things in this league, and I'm excited to be on the same field as those guys. But at the end of the day, we have to execute what we plan on doing here in Carolina, which is, running Joe Brady's offense and doing it at a high level.
Hey, with the Athletic here in Charlotte, you mentioned Joe Brady's offense. What percentage of that would you say relates to the offense you ran in New Orleans? And is that familiarity, a plus for you, especially given this crazy offseason?
Yeah, definitely. It's a high percentage of some of the things we did in New Orleans, but of course with Joe spending time at LSU and being on the journey that he's come on, he's added his wrinkle and different things to this offense. So I'm excited about that, and just being familiar with the system, it's been huge. Especially for us, with us not being able to meet in person for OTAs throughout the spring. I've had the opportunity to get with the guys and reiterate the language, go over installs with the guys prior to arriving to training camp. So having that comfort level, that experience in this offense has been a huge head start for us, I'd say.
Teddy, hey, Josh Klein from the Riot Report. Sorry, Ashley. Josh Klein from the Riot Report. You said one of the things that we saw in your Instagram video was you said in a Joe Brady offense, there's always an answer. Could you expound a little bit on that and what that means and how you've been kind of passing that along to your teammates?
Yeah, just Joe isn't just calling plays to get one guy the ball. I mean, yeah, you design plays for specific guys, but when you're in this offense, as you go through your progression, there's always going to be someone coming into your vision wherever you start at. There's always going to be an outlet for you. And I try to reiterate that to the guys so that everyone is, performing their play at high speed. Sometimes you see guys on a progression when you're installing, they see, hey, they're just, part of the play and they may want to take a play off. But, for those guys to understand that everyone's alive, a viable option in this offense. It keeps everyone on their toes and it keeps everyone locked in.
Hi, Teddy. Ashley Mahoney with the Charlotte Post. Appreciate your time today. You spoke to the experience in the league, but now that you're part of the Panthers organization, you're developing your identity as a leader here, and you have a lot of young guys and an interesting time to be a rookie with the pandemic and the uncertainty that brings. What are you imparting to them about not only their rookie season, but how to grow and develop in this league?
The biggest thing I learned from my years of experience in this league, every year you get a new class of rookies. Every year the rosters are turning over. Nothing stays the same in this league. And that's my mindset to the rookies. Hey, when you come in, just keep your head down and work. You earn your respect in this league by what you're able to put out on the field, display throughout the building with your work ethic, the way you approach each day. So if I'm a young guy coming into the league right now, yeah, it hasn't been ideal with the pandemic and everything, but this is an opportunity virtually to show, hey, I'm dedicated. I'm really locked in and really willing to give my all to this organization, whether it's in meetings virtually when coach asks you a question, responding with confidence and with conviction. That shows, hey, you're studying and things like that. It's huge.
Teddy, Jason Huber, WF. One of the things that coaches have mentioned about you this offseason is just how dedicated you are in studying football. With an offseason like this where you weren't able to be on the field all the time, what is some of the benefits of being able to study the game, learn some of the the plays just by watching tape more?
It just gives you more reps, virtually, mentally. Everything is a rep. And the more you're watching it on tape, I may have ran a play last year and threw it to a certain guy, and I may not have liked the way that the play went. So the more I'm getting that experience, watching the plays, revisiting the moments, it's preparing me for when that moment presents itself this upcoming season.
Teddy, David Newton, ESPN.com. A lot's been made recently about Cam Newton being disrespected, pushed to the side, having to prove himself again. I'm wondering, you kind of went through a similar experience at Minnesota after you came back from your injury. How do you relate to that, and is this a prove-it year for you?
Man, that's the tough side of this business. I had the opportunity to experience it early in my career, and injuries are always unfortunate, and the way things transpired when I got injured and how I wasn't able to return to the driver's seat, I just took it as, hey, man, I got to put my head down and just continue to work. Eventually, there are 31 other teams that will have the opportunity to fall in love with me all over again. And luckily, when I was returned from my injury, I had the opportunity to sign with the Jets, and then New Orleans traded for me. And now I'm here in Carolina, and I'm forever thankful of my journey. So, with Cam, it was one of those situations, I understand as a player, you're a competitor, you want to get back out there and get that opportunity to show, that you're still this elite guy. And, he's done some great things. He's obviously one of the best players to ever play for this franchise. And everyone around here respects him. They speak highly of him. And I'm just honored to be, following in, the position that he left behind, get the opportunity to just continue to resume my career.
Hey,
Teddy, Scott Fowler. Oh, go ahead.
Elena Getzmer, Charlotte Observer. I was wondering, I know you were able to get together with some of your receivers this offseason, but how are you able to kind of communicate with guys over the course of the offseason? You said this is your team. How are you kind of able to establish that with everyone being far apart? And, what were kind of some of the things this offseason that helped you?
Yeah, the good thing about this era is we all have cell phones. So we're all in group chats and we're discussing different things. And we had the virtual meetings throughout the spring, which were great for us. It was a great teaching tool for us. And then we were able to get together in person. We put together, a brief period where, I got with the receivers, the running backs, the tight ends, and the offensive line even showed up. And we just had 3 days worth of work, similar to a mini camp at the end of OTAs. It was very beneficial for us. I had some guys in South Florida who I was able to work with on a consistent basis. So, we've been able to get the work in. on the field and, more importantly, mentally, because at the end of the day, if we can understand the why behind everything we do here, all of these guys are in the NFL for a reason. We're all physically gifted and we have different skill sets that separate us from the others. So we were able to take advantage of the mental reps that we got, and we look forward to just applying it to the football field.
Teddy, this is Miles Simmons from Panthers.com. I'm curious about your relationship with offensive coordinator Joe Brady. I think a lot has been made of that. You mentioned it earlier, how you're familiar with the system as well. Just what is that relationship meant as you try to establish yourself in the system here?
The thing with Joe, man, it's a special bond to me because, I don't want to dwell on, New Orleans too much, but when I first got to New Orleans, Joe was the guy who took the time to teach me the offense. I got traded there right at the end of preseason, and we were getting ready for week 1, and I was the backup quarterback to Drew Brees, and I didn't really have the time to learn the system. And Joe was the guy who went the extra mile for me and made sure that, hey, I was on top of protections, run calls, different things like that. So our bond started there. And if you watch in pregame when I was with New Orleans in 2018, Joe was the guy with me in pregame going over the play calls to make sure that if something happened to Drew that I was ready. So you fast forward to now, and we're back united, reunited, and it's great to see a familiar face, but also it's great to see someone who actually taught you this system and to be able to actually grow in this system, continue to grow in the system and run it the way that he sees it.
Eddie, Scott Fowler from the Charlotte Observer. One little question and one larger one, if you don't mind. The little one is just, it sounds like with all your workouts, you're probably 100% injury-free, but I want to make sure you don't have any nagging injuries. Secondly, the last time we talked to you, George Floyd had not been killed in police custody, and I want to know your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement and sort of what your stance is and whether you will kneel for the national anthem this season.
One thing I can say, ever since I got off the PUP list when I was in Minnesota, I haven't had an injury. I haven't missed a practice, a game. So I'm 100% healthy. And as far as what happened in Minnesota, it's unfortunate. And, that's the tough side to life that, every morning you wake up, you just pray that you're able to make it home safe to your family because it's not promised. It's not guaranteed that, when you exit out that door that you'll return. And, my heart goes out to, the George Floyd family. And, this upcoming season, I'll have a decision to make as far as kneeling or standing. Of course, I'm leaning towards kneeling. But it's just a decision that I'll make. I don't want to sit here and, say, hey, I'm going to do this and do that. I was able to contact the family directly and do some things for them. So, I feel like, when that time comes, it'll be a decision that I make.
Teddy, Christian from Fox 46 here. Ian Thomas has some big shoes to fill replacing Greg Olsen here. I just want to know what your relationship been like with him and how's everything gelling with your new offensive line?
Yeah, Ian, he's a guy, man. He's sneaky athletic. I didn't know he was that much of an athlete, but spending time around him, you watch him, he's flying around. He has a ton of juice, ton of energy. And he's, a young guy who's eager to fill some big shoes and to show that, he can make big plays in this league. So I'm excited for Ian. I'm excited for that entire tight end room. Those guys have been working extremely hard these past couple of weeks, and I'm just excited. I can't wait to see them get out there and play. And with the offensive line, it's a great group of guys. We've been putting some work in, and it's a group who, they communicate well with each other, and I can't wait to see them gel once we get going.
Hey, Teddy. Jonathan Alexander with the Charlotte Observer. I hope you're doing well, man. Question I have for you is, I don't know how much pressure this comes with, but how have you approached following someone who was considered a beloved player with this franchise? How do you approach that?
I approach it the same way I approached my situation last year. One of the biggest problems I had my first year in New Orleans was I wanted to be like Drew. I had to do everything Drew did in order to have success like Drew. But eventually I learned that Drew Brees was Drew Brees. I'm Teddy Bridgewater. I'm coming into the situation. Cam Newton was Cam Newton. I'm still Teddy Bridgewater. So I can't go out there and try to be something that I'm not. I play the game the way I play it. I carry myself the way I carry myself. And, I'm going to live and die by that.
Guys, we got time for maybe one or two more with Teddy before we let him go.
Hey, Teddy, what it's like to be everybody has talked about your leadership so far this offseason. What's it like to be a leader, not just like on the football field, because this offseason it's not just X's and O's and be in the right spot at the right time. It's, maybe don't go to a party or don't go to a club, or like how to be a social justice leader. How do you approach being a leader off the field just as much as on the field?
It starts with my purpose. My purpose in life is to lead people. And I take pride in that because I understand that, eyes are always on me. Eyes are always on you when you're in a position of leadership. So for me, I don't ever want to be the guy who, who's the cause of someone going down the wrong path. So whether it's social injustices, football, in my community, I understand that, hey, I have a voice, I have a platform. But at the same time, that platform means nothing if my actions don't follow. So I try to just lead with conviction, let my actions, speak for itself, and then eventually people will gravitate towards my leadership.
Eddie,
Joe, last one. Okay, thanks so much.
If you address, first of all, did you say the mini camp that you did was where was that held, Teddy?
It was held in Charlotte, so I drove up. All the guys flew in or drove up, and we got together.
And then kind of similar question, could you take us through what it's been like coming to a new city and find an apartment or a house and bike routes in your case, especially during COVID?
Yeah, of course, this is a tough time to be transitioning, but I'm excited to be here in Charlotte. I've been able to just ride through the city and find different locations that I may consider living in. But for the most part, I've just been trying to focus on football right now. The living situation will take care of itself. Right now is just eat, sleep, and breathe football. And eventually I'll probably get me a bike or a scooter and get familiar with the city. But with everything going on with the pandemic and everything, safety comes first. And I don't want to put myself in harm's way and jeopardize what we're trying to do here in Carolina.
Great. Guys, we got to let Teddy go. So, Teddy, thanks so much for taking the time.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Teddy.
Yeah.
All right.
Teddy.
Hey guys, everyone in here. I know Bruce is trying to effort getting Marty on the phone in a conference call. Thinking that'll probably be sometime after Derrick, maybe between the time that Derrick finishes and about 1:15 or so. We will send that information as far as the dial-in number as soon as we have it to the list of folks that got this invite as well. So just wanted you guys to be aware of that and be on the lookout because, I doubt that there'll be like a tremendous amount of lead time. So just want to let everybody know that while we get Derrick squared away here. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ryan.
You got it. Again, in a conference call setting.
Hey, Bruce, does he want us to see?
You want to just take questions, or you want to have an open? No, I'll just take questions. Okay.
Bruce, you guys' mic is up, so you just need to turn the video on.
All right. He'll just open it up with questions, Rhino.
Okay. Guys, we'll just, as Bruce said, we can just turn it over for Derrick to take some questions. Derrick, thanks for being here. And guys, please introduce yourselves.
Derrick, this is Nick from the NBC affiliate here. Welcome. And can you just let us into what the experience has been like, this being such a unique training camp and also your first one? So what have the past few weeks been like for you and the rest of the rookies going through all the testing and seeing the way things are set up?
It's not normal, but, I don't know any difference when it comes to training camp. So, I'm just, taking it day by day. And, whenever the doctors or anything have something new to tell us, then we just go with it day by day. I think all the other guys taking the same approach.
Hey, Derrick, this is Miles Simmons from Panthers.com. I'm just wondering, what are some of your priorities now that you are actually inside the building, and how can you feel like you're actually starting to really build something toward what you want your rookie year to be?
Hold on, you say it again. I can't hear.
Oh, sorry. What are your priorities now that you're actually in the building, and how do you feel like you'll be able to start building to what you want your rookie year to be?
I want to have a successful rookie campaign. I want to be able to do everything I can to be able to help this defense, help this team, and help this organization going forward. And I can only do that by putting my best foot forward. Just being able to soak it all in while I'm in the classroom aspect of it, and also while I'm on the field, being able to implicate everything into my game.
Hey, Derrick, Josh Graham from Sports Hub Tryon. KK Short yesterday described you as being a completely different kind of interior defensive lineman. Now that you've had a chance to be in the building, maybe watch some of what KK's done in the past, how do you compare and contrast you guys?
I don't know. I've never played beside KK yet. So I don't really know. I don't know all of his style of play. But I did get to work with KK a lot this summer. Just meeting up with him, getting some work in. That was big for me because obviously he's been in this game a long time. So, just getting that experience taught down to me now, and, me being able to get on the front end rather than later on, is beneficial to me.
Derrick, hey, Josh Klein with the Riot Report. How would you describe your time with Phil Snow so far, and kind of his overall demeanor and just what you've been able to glean from him?
Man, Coach Snow is cool. Just being able to he wants us all to be able to run defense so we can play fast. He always harps on, just trying to play defense as fast as you can, giving your best effort and being able to finish. And, he preaches that a lot. That's exactly what we go through in the meetings. And I think that's just been the most beneficial thing to us.
Derrick, this is Joe Person with the Athletic Carolina. There was a picture of you, I think, on the Panthers website, or maybe Peter King used it. You were studying in a suite, your suite, of course. It was the clock behind you said it was like 9 o'clock at night. Have you been keeping late hours? And just wondering what your days are like now that you're in the building, and are the rookies staying in a hotel is kind of the setup.
So we are. So right now, every day changes with meetings and everything. Just gotta, because it was, at a certain point where you're gonna have a certain number of guys in the building at one point, and then you gotta get the other group out. So it was like that, but also, it was just being here. We were finishing up meetings right then, and getting all that stuff done. So we had just finished. The rookies had an option. Everybody has an option to stay in the hotel. I personally, I live with I have my fiance and my son with me up here, so I bought a house and I live out. So.
Hey, Derrick, this is Jason Brown with Spectrum News 1 here in Charlotte. Since we can't see what some of the workouts are like, when you guys are on the field with whatever COVID-19 protocols that are in place, what is that experience like for those of us who haven't seen it yet?
Keep our distance. We got the trackers on us, and they light up red when you get within 6 feet of somebody. So it's just about paying attention. Everybody out there is watching to make sure that when those lights turn red, that we spread out. It's a big deal because none of us want to take this back home to our families.
Derrick,
Elena
Jason,
Getzenberg, Charlotte Observer. I was wondering for you, what has this kind of been like, just dealing with all this change, moving, and with COVID going on? What has kind of the past few months just been like for you getting through all this?
I've always just kind of taken life with the next thing, what's the next thing type of attitude, and so really it's just been like, just okay, what's next? Find a house. Okay, when do we start working out? And just kind of just focusing on the next thing and be able to get me done. And that's why now it's actually since us not knowing everything, we had to actually tone it back and just go one day at a time with everything.
Derrick, Jason Huber, WFNZ. When we spoke with you last, you were just drafted, but the Panthers went on to draft all defensive players in that. How's that been, kind of knowing that you're not the only young rookie that was drafted on this team, and kind of talking to them who are going through the same thing as you?
It's pretty cool. We got to work out a bunch of each other this summer. Just kind of meeting up, doing some things. It was big for us to just get some chemistry before we got all in the building.
Derrick, Jonathan Alexander with the Charlotte Observer. I hope you're doing well, man. I know one of the things the NFLPA was concerned about was that a lot of his players are at risk of severe symptoms of COVID, particularly guys who with a high BMI. I'm wondering at that particular point, has that been a concern for you? Have you weighed that or anything like that?
Yeah, I think, everybody thinks about it, but all we can do at this point is, if you've chosen to play ball, then you got to play ball. All you can do is listen to the doctors and the league staff, and, inside the building, they're doing everything they can to make sure that we stay 6 feet apart. Everybody's wearing masks. It's just the conscious effort of everybody taking care of one another.
Derrick, Miles Simmons from Panthers.com again. I'm curious if you think that you'll be missing anything with not playing any preseason games this year.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing the experience. That's definitely something that, get your feet wet in. But, I've been put in a situation of, when we get started, it's going to be the real thing. So, it's going to come out and it's going to be, best on best. And, in that situation, I just get ready for it.
Derrick, has it kind of hit you that, like, your rookie year, you don't get a preseason, and you may be playing in front of limited or maybe no fans at all? Like, just kind of how weird it'll be for your first game to be in such an unusual situation?
At first, it was kind of, I thought in the back of my head, but now, I had to push it out. I'm just trying to focus on all things football right now. So, just getting the playbook down and, learning what I got to do, and, everything else will just come along with it.
Derrick, I wondered if you might expand on your workouts with KK, where those took place and kind of what you were able to learn from him and vice versa.
We did them here, just doing recovery and stuff, going out and doing some stuff. And, just trying to get it right. Him just trying to, put that wisdom into me that he's developed over all these years. He's got to play with all these great guys and have him alongside of him. So, he's just, he's been with open arms into, giving me knowledge.
We got a couple more minutes, guys.
Derrick, David Newton with ESPN.com. I was wondering, when's the last time you've been a part of a defense with so many new pieces and having to pull it all together? And what was the result of that?
2016 when I went to college, and it was, we ended up finishing like top 15 in the country with defense then. So I've been a part of a defense where it's been down and it's been brought all the way back up. It's about the guys in the room. It's never about anything else.
Anything else for Derrick?
Yeah, Derrick, I had one. This is Nick from NBC again. Has the team or the NFL showed you guys any sort of potential face coverings that Oakley's designed for your helmets? And would that be something you consider wearing this season? It sounds like they would be optional.
Yeah, so that was put in place a few weeks ago, and we have seen it. Some guys do have it. A lot of guys were working out with it on their stuff this summer, and it's just I mean, it's based off preference, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if I'll wear it yet. I mean, I got to try it out. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where you got to, if you want to, you want to. If you don't, you don't.
Can I just ask one more, Ryan, really quick?
Go ahead, Elaine. Let's finish.
Just going off that, what was it like? I saw you guys took pictures in your uniforms. What was it like getting in your Panthers uniform for the first time?
It was cool. It's just kind of that realization, like this is what you've waited for all your life, and it's finally here. And a lot more work to be put in, but you know that you started something.
Great, guys.
What are your goals for your rookie year?
At this point, I mean, to be honest, my goals are, go out and be able to do everything I can to help this team. I don't know exactly what those look like yet. So like I said, I'm still trying to learn the playbook. So, I'm trying to get my mind right on that first. So, I mean, before I can even play fast, I got to be able to learn everything and not be cautious. I mean, then you can put some limitations on what you want for the season.
Great. Hey, media, we'll let Derrick go. Please hang on the line for Marty. We'll probably just have him call into this meeting. Derrick, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your patience, guys. It should just be a minute.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Okay, Bruce, you're good. Everyone's there.
All right, y'all hang on 1 second. I'll have Marty on the line.
How you guys doing? We ready to go?
We're good to go, Marty.
Okay. Shoot away.
Hey, Marty, Steve, hey, can you just give us an idea what's sort of happening on the field? Who's allowed on the field? When are the veterans going to be back on the field? You guys I wonder if you can kind of give us a plan as to, what is your plan moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's just we've followed all the league protocols, Steve. The rookies came in and did their COVID testing starting with the 18th. Then they came in and did their physicals Saturday and Sunday. The quarterbacks and the injured players came in, did their COVID testing started on the 23rd and went 4 days. And then the veterans came in, started their COVID testing on the 28th, went 4 days, had their physical Saturday and Sunday. And now we go through the regimen of walkthroughs and ramp-up period. And the different groups are on different schedules. What we did was we cut down to 80 on Saturday before 4 o'clock so we can have all 80 players in the building at once. And then the first-year players and rookies are still in a separate group where they have the walkthroughs. The quarterbacks and the injured players are going on their stage. And then the veteran players right now are in the conditioning acclimation period.
Marty, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
We're hanging in there, thanks. Just wondered with the timing with Graham's release, was there any thought to, letting him kick it all this summer and kind of what went into that decision?
Yeah, it's a different time, Joe, and I think that getting down to 80, we kind of came to the decision there, and it was hard because obviously, ideally, we like Graham a lot, we like Joey, but to get to 80 players, we had to make some hard decisions, and we made the decision to go with Joey. He came in last year, under difficult circumstances and went 7 for 8 in kicks 40 or less. And I think, 3 of his, he went 8 for 11 over 50. He has a strong leg, puts it in the end zone in kickoffs. It was an extremely hard decision because, we think the world of Graham and he's a very talented kicker, but we decided to go with Joey.
Hey, Marty, how does it affect your decisions as far as like bringing in players for maybe visits or workouts with obviously the restrictions and just the chance that they may be COVID positive?
Well, for one thing, you can't bring a player in for a workout right now. And so the only thing you can do is bring a player in for a visit, and you can't bring him in the building. He's got to go to the doctor's office, and you really bring him in for that physical with the intention of him going through. Then he's got to go through the COVID testing, which would be days 1, 2, and 4. So, from a logistical standpoint, certainly it's very different. I think that, right now we're in a period of if a good player comes up and you can bring him in and get the physical and start the COVID, then, you will do that. But it's not like it was before where you can bring a guy in and really have him be involved in meetings and everything the next day. So I think that's, probably the biggest challenge of it is the timing part of it and having to, go through that process where you can't even bring that player into the building until 5 days after you start the process.
Marty, it's Elena. I was wondering for you with the opt-outs and, having guys go through that process, how that kind of changes things for you and how you're kind of dealing with building the roster with those possibilities.
Yeah, I don't think it really changes things. Listen, I mean, anybody who goes through the opt-out process puts a lot of thought in it, and we respect everybody's decision. Everybody, has their own set of circumstances and has to make the best decision for them and their families. That's number one. That is number one for all of us is the health and safety of our players, our staff, everybody in the building. And you just have to, go day to day, and as much as you try to predict what the roster is going to look like and have an overall view, this job has always had a big part of flexibility into it. You have to be able to adjust, and I think that this year is a big challenge in that area, but it's still, that's the attitude you have to take. And these are different times, and we totally understand if a player wants to opt out. We totally respect that decision. We understand it, and the safety of everybody in this building and the safety of their families come first to us.
Marty, David Newton, speaking of the tough times, I mean, are you having to build sort of a reserve list of what you're looking at right now? Just how are you managing those times, and how different is that from anything you've done before?
Well, it's just you're evaluating players every day, David. I mean, we're in the process. Every night waivers come through. You evaluate those players. Continue to evaluate your own, and with the increased practice squad at 16, certainly taking a look at those young players. Although you can have 10 young players, and then 6 don't have any restrictions on them, but with that, you're thinking about how important your practice squad is going to be during the season, because I would think that that's where you're going to go first as far as bringing players up if you have injuries or you have somebody that's on reserve COVID, because they've been through your testing process and they can participate in your meetings and practices like they have been doing as practice squad players, and you can make that transition much easier. So I think you're thinking in different terms as far as not only a group of 53, but a group of 69, and that might be the biggest difference.
Marty, this is Miles Simmons from Panthers.com. Just what are the challenges of constructing an initial 53-man roster when you have such limited practice time and you're not going to have any preseason games?
Well, I think you evaluate practices every day, and a lot of it sometimes is, as we always say, it's going to be determined by, injuries. And then we have another factor as far as, if a player or players, a group of players on reserve COVID, but you just do it like you always do, except with the preseason games as an evaluation tool. But you use meetings, you use the practices. I mean, we've already evaluated players by virtual meetings all off season, and I think that Matt Rule and his staff have done a tremendous job of getting guys up to speed with the virtual meetings and then the way they teach out on the field. So you use everything at your disposal, and we don't have the preseason games to use as an evaluation tool, but we have everything else, and that's how we'll make our decisions.
Hey, Marty, Josh Graham at Sports Hub Triad. I'm curious, considering the amount of usage Christian had last year and the contract, how much you guys have invested in him. Have you and Coach Rule had conversations about the ideal amount of usage this year and how you plan to protect that investment long term?
We've had a lot of conversations about a lot of things. I think it's very hard to get into specifics, Josh, until we get everybody out on the field and evaluate everybody. We still, you have to understand, I was here last year and we had so much transition. There's a lot of guys I haven't seen. Well, now Matt and the staff come in. We have to give them time. We all have to have time to see everybody on the field and see how things come together, both offensively, defensively, on special teams. We'll have those conversations. We have conversations every day, and those will continue all the way through. But right now, they haven't been that in-depth just because we want to be able to see guys out on the practice field and get a feel for how everything comes together.
Marty, wondered, two-part question on your quarterbacks, just your early impressions of Teddy. He was telling us he kind of organized a little mini camp here. And then will you consider, you and Matt, quarantining a quarterback once the game starts?
Well, obviously, I haven't seen, and again, we haven't really seen Teddy out on the field with the team. And we've seen PJ and we've seen Will some. And, you know, we like all three quarterbacks. How we decide to handle those situations, Joe, I think you just have to, you know, get further down the road and have discussions. But I will say this, just overall as a group, as an organization, we have put so much effort and energy into making this building and everything we do as safe as it can be, as far as making sure there's social distancing, making sure that we keep stressing everybody wears masks. And from Mr. Tepper on down, it has been stressed for the last 4 months or so how much we have to do to create an atmosphere that promotes player safety. And we have changed a lot of things as far as downstairs with the way it is set up, spacing with the meeting rooms, using the third floor level. That's been our emphasis right now, is to make sure that we not only adhere to the protocols, but really try to go beyond and make it as safe as possible. And there is so much work been put in by everybody, a lot of people in this organization. And, you know, I think we feel like we have created as safe an environment as we can overall. Now, for those decisions, those, you know, particular decisions about how you would treat the quarterback position, we really have to wait until we get further down the road to really get specific about that. All our efforts and energy have been put into really the big picture of keeping this environment as safe as we can, adhering to all the protocols and stressing the mask and social distancing. We stress that every day, multiple times a day.
We got
Marty,
we got a few more minutes with Marty, guys. A few more minutes with Marty.
Marty, with that said, I mean, do you feel big picture wise, do you feel like the NFL can pull this off and have a full season?
Steve, I can't predict. All I know is everybody, from the NFL level to the club level, we are all doing everything we can to make this as safe as an environment as we can. So, and I know the league office has worked tirelessly. The union has worked tirelessly. I think the approach, the process has all been toward trying to get the season in. But number one, having the players and the staff, everybody's safety and well-being and their family's safety and health and well-being is at the forefront of every decision that's made.
Hey, Marty, this is Jonathan Alexander with the Charlotte Observer. I hope you're doing well.
Hey, Jonathan. Well,
good. I'm sorry if you've been asked this question in the past, but I'm wondering, when back in the offseason when you were deciding on, you know, who you possibly wanted to have at quarterback, what ultimately made Teddy, why was he the person, you know, you all ultimately chose?
Well, we have evaluated Teddy. There's a lot of things to like about Teddy. And I was, you know, I wasn't even in the business when he came out, but I evaluated him and thought he was one of the best quarterbacks in that draft. I've always thought that he's been a winner everywhere he's been, has overcome a horrific injury. I think he's got excellent feet in the pocket, has a very compact release, gets rid of it very quickly. His leadership skills, you can talk to anybody that's been around him, are highly regarded by anybody that's been with him. So, you know, there were just a lot of things to like about Teddy Bridgewater.
We got time for one or two more, guys.
Hey, Marty, I was wondering for you, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge for you? I know evaluating players, there's differences, but what do you feel like is the biggest thing that you need to overcome in terms of evaluating this team and making sure this team is ready for the season?
It's really just, Lynn, it's really just staying open-minded and you know, sticking to your principles and going through the same process evaluation-wise as we would every year, except, you know, we don't have OTAs and mini camps, and we don't have preseason games, but it's still knowing what you're looking for, trying to get a very good idea of the systems and what we're going to do, and then how each personnel group and what traits they're looking for, and how each player fits into what we're trying to do. And we spend a lot of time on that now with our coaching staff in the off season, going into the draft, and then after the draft. And that's the key personnel wise for us, is just identifying the traits that fit the best into what we're trying to do. And we just have to continue to do that.
Marty, hey, you've spoken a lot in the past about depth on the offensive line and on the defensive line. Do you think this year, obviously with the COVID reserve list, always a possibility, how do you feel about the group that you have on the offensive line right now? And do you think that that might be an area that you beef up a little bit in terms of roster-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I think offense and defensive line are always two of the most important groups, and it's really hard to evaluate until you get in the pads. Even when you have mini camps and OTAs, it's hard to evaluate those two position groups, and obviously we haven't gotten there yet. But I think just in general, if there's ever a chance you have to acquire an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman that you think can help your team, you have to look very hard at doing that.
All right, guys, we got to let Marty go. So thank you, Marty, for taking the time. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.